Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. We're back in the Psychology of Eating podcast. I'm with Jess today. Welcome, Jess.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm going to ask you a question that I love to ask. Jess, if you could have whatever you wanted in terms of food and body or your relationship with food and body, what would be your big wish?
Probably to be able to have just complete food freedom.
All right. And what does food freedom mean for you?
Being able to not, I used to be a huge macro tracker. And so for me, it would be, I've since graduating from the Institute of Psychology of Eating, I've since been able to slowly start trusting myself and stop tracking and just be more like eating as I want and knowing that, like listening to my body more.
Mm-hmm. How's that been for you?
Hard.
Yeah. What's hard about it?
I'd say probably because if I do eat unhealthy, that's when I get upset with myself. And even as much as I say and preach to others, I can tell everybody else all the things. And then when it comes down to yourself, you're like, I know what I know, but yet I just ate that way. So I feel like I should restrict after.
Sure. So you would have food freedom. And what else does food freedom mean for you?
It also means being able to I want to show I have 3 kids. So I want to be able to show them also that you don't have to rely on tracking and all those things, and being able to just live life and enjoy foods. And I want my kids to be able to pick up on that as well.
Good for you. How old are your kids?
12. I have a 12-year-old boy, an 8-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old daughter.
All right. Wow. So that's a handful.
Mm-hmm.
So you were tracking macros for a while, and the reason you tracked macros were
control.
Mm-hmm. Control in terms of you just want to eat a certain way so you can lose weight?
Yeah. Sorry, I get emotional.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I think mostly to control just everything, because I had lack of control just in other areas of my life. So that was one area that I myself could control, and nobody else could do anything but me for myself.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And I got to tell you, just so many people do that because it's so true. There's parts of our life that we don't have control over. It could be health, it could be relationship, it could be, what happens to our loved ones. It could work, money. There's so many things. No matter what we do, I don't have control over what happens. But, when it comes to the food on my plate, seemingly I should be able to control that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And usually I think that if we think we could control the food on my plate, that means I've got control. Mm-hmm. I'm back in control. I've got my life, down somehow. I'm making it work. How long have you been trying to lose weight?
I don't know. Probably since I can remember graduating high school, all through high school, even we would always do stuff to try to lose weight. So since 2005 is when I graduated high school. So since then it's always just been and then having kids and then trying to lose weight after kids, and it's always just been a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been at a weight that felt good to you?
It's I think that it feels good to me. I don't think it feels good to me at the time. I've been at 170 pounds and I don't feel good at the time, but then now I'm at 185 and I look back and I'm okay, I liked what I looked like at 170, but like I didn't feel like I liked it when I was there.
Yeah. That's the unfair thing about life sometimes. You know, I speak to so many people who will, they thought they were overweight back in junior high school or high school. And then, 10, 20, 30 years later, they look at a picture of themselves and they go, oh my God, what was I thinking?
Right.
It's so hard, I think, to just somehow figure out a way to be in the moment with our body, because in a way, right now, you and I are younger than we'll ever be.
Mm-hmm.
Like today, tomorrow you'll be a day older, I'll be a day older. And, easy to look back on today and say, wow, man, I look so good. My skin was this, my hair was that. It's a crazy challenge. So what's the hardest thing for you, do you find, when it comes to not feeling freedom with food and trying to be in control? What hurts the most?
I honestly, I don't know. Like I start to like, I've been able to slow down and like focus on things more. So I notice like when I feel stress, like any bit of stress, and like the first thing I want to do is like snack. And then when I have one snack, that leads to, and this is like so ridiculous that I say it out loud that I do it myself because I yell at all my clients about it. Like I'm like, I know not to do it, but like I'm like, okay, well, I just messed up, so it's just like whatever. Like it just keeps spiraling. And I can get back on track the next day, but then I've already like screwed up that entire afternoon or whatever it is with whatever snack, then it just kind of spirals.
Any particular kind of stress or thoughts or experiences that usually you find trigger that uncontrolled eating?
Not any, I mean, just everyday today's stuff. Like the kids could be excessively mouthy or talking back, or like I get caught up like worrying about the future and stuff like that. So like little things like that can add up.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have times when you feel like, I'm being a little more successful than usual, or things worked out better for me today or this
Yes.
week when it comes to food? What do those times look like?
I'm super busy.
Uh, and so when you're super busy, what's different other than being super busy? How do you think that makes for a good, food day?
Because my brain doesn't have time to not to like stop and be still and like think of nonsense things or to go to those places.
Yeah.
Like, and I just don't feel hungry. Like I'm not as hungry on the days that I'm super busy. And then like the days that I'm not, or when I'm like not working and I'm with the kids and stuff, then it's just, I'm always just grabbing whatever they're eating or doing, grabbing nonsense things.
Mm-hmm. So when your thoughts get out of control, you mentioned you could be worrying about things, you could be worried about the future. What's some of the biggest worries for you?
I don't know. I don't have like an exact worry.
Sure. Um, do you have help with the kids?
Yes.
And how does that work for you? Does that feel good? Do you feel like you have the support you need being a mom?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a little bit doubting. I'm not sure what's happening for you there.
So I'm just recently divorced.
Oh.
And we just have split custody, so that's hard. It's like the days I don't have the kids, I'm probably like, that's when I have to like try to keep busy because those are the days that I would be more like still and sit with my own thoughts. So those were probably the harder days.
How long were you married for?
Well, we were together for 12 years, married for 9.5.
Wow. So that's hard. That's so hard. I know what that's like. I divorced with one child. I can't imagine divorcing with 3 kids. And it's never fun. I don't know. It's you don't meet a lot of people that, divorce can make certain things better. But it can just the challenges are often still there, and it's a different level of challenge, especially when there's kids and especially when there's an ex that you have to negotiate with. So what do you find helps you, other than staying busy, what helps Jess's mind be more at ease?
Working out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do some meditation. I try all the things because I preach all the things. So try to meditate. I try to go to yoga. Otherwise, I work out every single day of the week.
Mm-hmm. And when you work out, what kind of workouts do you do?
We do functional fitness. So anything from heavy weightlifting to intense high cardio to it's just all over the board. We do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So the benefit of working out for you is, how would you describe it?
The benefit for working out for me is to get aggression out, and it's like a de-stressor.
Mm-hmm. It's so true for a lot of people. I completely get it.
Yeah.
It's energy can build up inside of us, and it just becomes a tension, and it can become very physical, and working out just moves that energy so much. Mm-hmm. So these days, again, if you can wave your magic wand, how much weight would you lose?
Like 25 pounds.
Mm-hmm. And do you weigh yourself?
Yeah.
How often would you say?
Once a week.
Uh-huh. And what happens if you're not losing weight? Like,
I'm now to a place where it's like, it's not a huge deal. Like I weigh myself once a week, and then I'll track it in my phone, and like it varies, like goes up and down. And I don't like, today I weighed in and I was a little bit heavier than I was last week, but then like there was the 4th of July weekend. So, there was just like different variables that I don't normally drink alcohol, and I had drinks this weekend. So like just little things like that I know have added into the scale. So it's not a huge deal to me. Like I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. How old are you, Jess?
33.
Uh-huh. So you started having kids young.
Mm-hmm.
So do you ever think about your future in terms of relationship, in terms of what you want in that regards? Might be too soon to go there, but I'm just
no, I am seeing somebody now, somebody new, and he's 30. He's like a little bit younger than me. He doesn't have kids. So that's also like a little bit of a challenge in itself, because I'm done having kids.
Mm-hmm. And how does it just feel like to be in relationship or to be dating again?
He's just completely opposite than what I was used to. He wants to be around. He wants to do the things. He wants to help. He wants me happy. So it's in itself is completely different than what I was used to.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
No, really. Even if it doesn't become a long-term relationship, there's something I think really sweet about that you attracted somebody who adds something to your life that maybe you didn't have so much before.
Mhm.
How does he feel about your body, and how does he feel about your weight?
He has no complaints.
Mm-hmm. How does that feel for you?
It feels good. I mean, my ex didn't have any complaints either. You know, it's all more just how I feel and how I want to look.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that fascinating? I mean, really, when you think about it, it's here you have, some of the key men in your life have looked upon you and thought, okay, this is great. This is what I want. No complaints. I'm happy. And yet we could not be happy with our own
Right.
body. Do you find yourself shifting over the years? Do you find yourself getting better in this regard? Like, what do you notice?
Yes. I mean, I'm definitely shifting. I have a healthier mindset than I did 3 years ago, even like before I would have never known, I would have never been like known the things, like I can see things. I'm like, I'm growing as a person and I see things that I'm doing and I don't like try to just brush them under a rug. Like I'm like, okay, I notice that I have these thoughts right now. I notice what I'm like that I want to be snacking. And I mean, I'm now like noticing things more. It's just still like a struggle to stay on track.
Yeah. So, in an ideal world, what would staying on track look like for you?
Not ever craving sweets and wanting to eat like junk food all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like I have like more willpower than I've ever used to have. So that's what I feel like helps me or like I guess yeah, it helps me. But then some days I just have less willpower and I just want to say screw it and just eat what I want all day long and not give a crap
Mm-hmm.
and not feel guilty about it. But then I feel guilty about it.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So, staying on track would mean never craving sweets or never craving the bad stuff. And it's funny because as I'm saying that, you're laughing. And I don't know if you're smiling for the same reason I'm smiling, but I'll tell you why I'm smiling about that. And it's because what I believe is that there's a part of me and you and all of us that, particularly when it comes to food, we're just very human. And because we're human, we crave food. And because we're going to crave food that we like, and we're going to be craving food that has a certain association to it. And I know this isn't bursting your bubble, but you're not the first human being to crave sugar. You didn't invent this one. There's a very compelling physiologic reason why human bodies crave sugar. Sugar really grabs us. We have a lot of sweet taste buds firing on our tongue. That's kind of how God or evolution made us, that we have sweet taste buds. We have salty ones, bitter, sour, and those sweet taste buds are craving something sweet. And when there's sweet foods in nature, especially in environments that have a winter time, animals naturally will crave all the sweet foods they can get when it's ripe, because it usually means winter's around the corner and there's not going to be much. So as soon as the tongue and as soon as the brain senses sweet and tastes it, it actually wants more. Your brain tells you to eat more because your primitive brain thinks, oh my God, there's lots of fruit available, sweet, which means winter's around the corner. So I better fatten up now because it's going to be a lean winter. And that's how animals in winter environments survive. And we have some of those genetics in us. Brain senses sugar and it is literally driven to want more. So all I'm saying is in my perfect world, you would take it easier on yourself. And instead of setting the goal called for me to be in control, for me to be in a good place, my ideal is I would never crave sweets. What I'd love to see you do is to reinvent your relationship with sweet, because that's almost like saying, as soon as I'm feeling, I don't know, like I want some physical contact, that's bad. I should never feel that way. Or if I notice I'm attracted to somebody else, or I think another person's beautiful, I shouldn't feel that way. And there's certain ways that we're just human. So anyway, I would love to see you start to think that ain't nothing wrong with you if you're craving sweets, that you're just being a human being, because it's constantly being danced in front of us anyway. No matter where you go, there's sweets, right? You can't go anywhere. You can't go food shopping anywhere, and there's not a ton of sweets. You can't go to any circus, any carnival, any ballpark, any game, any party with your kids, like nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's always there. And so again, I just want to say, to set the expectation that I should never crave that sets you up for failure. So the moment you crave it, you go into, I just failed. And oftentimes when we go into, oh my God, I'm craving this, I just failed, it can be a little bit chaotic because we don't want to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, damn, I'm failing. Well, screw it. I might as well just eat all this and, I'll be guilty, but I'll deal with that today, tomorrow, whenever. And different way to look at it is, I'm Jess and I'm human, and there's a damn good chance that I'm going to crave something sweet because sweet makes me feel good. There's a chance I'm going to want to listen to a certain kind of music. I'm going to want to watch a certain TV show. I'm going to want to be touched, and I'm going to want to feel intimate, and I'm going to want to feel good about my life. You're going to crave certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So let's expect it. Let's expect it. Let's anticipate it. And what would it be like to not immediately go into, oh my God, I'm wrong for that. But the first thought is, oh, here's me being a human being like a billion others who like sweets. And I haven't failed at anything. Because I think there's a part of you that as soon as you go into, I have failed, it sends you into a little bit of chaos. Mm-hmm. I should be better than this. I should be doing something different. I see clients, I tell them what to do, and here's me, and I'm not doing it.
Right.
And there's a little bit of spiral downwards. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, oh, I'm craving sweets. First move is, yeah, makes perfect sense. Now, that doesn't mean I should eat tons of it. It doesn't mean I'm going to feel good if I eat tons of it. All it means is I'm a human being that craves things like every other human being. Little bit of forgiveness. And maybe even a little bit of planning ahead that, I'm going to make this as a suggestion, that you decide that there's X number of days per week when you actually are going to have something sweet. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's a dessert, maybe it's a snack. Maybe when you have your kids, you just kind of set a guideline for yourself. Or when the kids are not there, whatever. You just set a guideline for yourself that I'm going to have sweets today, and I'm going to have X amount. Here's an amount that would feel good for me. I don't know, 3 cookies instead of 15. 2 candy bars instead of 6. Find that range for you. Mm-hmm. And this is just an experiment. It's an experiment in just kind of welcoming it into your life, instead of feeling like you got to duke it out with your sweet craving. because I just want to see you get out of the, oh my God, I just failed. And because I failed, now I'm going to punish myself even more. And now I'm going to just cut loose and do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
How does that sound to you when I suggest that?
It sounds like a little bit of relief. Like it's like I like plans, and that sounds like a good plan. Like I'm all about like strategic things. Like I'm very routine. So then like what you're saying makes sense. Like when I get out of routine, then it's like, well, I just failed. So now I'm a failure. I might as well just be done for the day.
Yeah. So I love it. So homework assignment is to start out saying, pick a number of days during the week. It could be 7. I don't care. You can have something sweet every day. It's eminently possible. So you're going to do it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week. I know I'm going to have something sweet. I don't have to fight it. I don't have to fight this urge. And I'm going to plan on having a certain amount from the beginning. And not only am I going to plan on having a certain amount, but I am going to enjoy the heck out of whatever sweet I'm eating. Because the other piece is, I think you're getting trapped in what a lot of us get trapped in, which is if we make something a forbidden pleasure, it's forbidden. You can't do this.
Right.
But you want it, but you can't do it. So you got your brain split in half. Half of you's got the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder, and they're both arguing with each other. And usually the devil on the shoulder is going to win, and then we eat it and we feel guilty. But worse so, it's easy to eat the sweet, and the whole time you're eating it, you're saying to yourself, I shouldn't be doing this. This is not the right thing. So we're really not getting what we want. You're really not getting what you want from the sugar. You're not getting what you want from the sweet, which is, I want to eat this and I want to feel good. That's why you're eating it, because you want to feel good. No reason why you shouldn't feel good. Happy for you to feel good. If I'm eating something and I'm not feeling good, I have to eat more of it to get that feel good that I'm looking for. Part of it's stress chemistry. Oh my God, I shouldn't be eating this. I shouldn't be eating this. You're producing more cortisol. Cortisol will literally blunt your cell receptors to pleasure. Cortisol literally signals your body to not experience pleasure. The more circulating cortisol you have in your system, the more you're in fight or flight. When we're in fight or flight, we're not looking to feel pleasure. We're looking to run or fight for our lives. So pleasure is lowest on the metabolic list. So then what happens is you're trying to feel pleasure. And because you can't, because you're stressed, there's a part of us that kicks in and says, well, let me just completely let go and just do this. Mm-hmm. Go unconscious, because if I go unconscious, I will eat whatever amount I need to finally feel like, oh, that's enough. I want you to stay conscious. That's the key in all this, is staying conscious. Oh, I want sugar. I would rather you experiment at this stage of your life where you're at. I'd rather you experiment with putting sugar and sweet and foods that make you feel good. I don't care how bad you think they are. Put them on your okay list for me to eat. Create an amount in advance that you think this would feel good for me. If I could contain myself, I could limit myself to this much, this much, this much, I'd feel okay. And then the other part is trusting that your body is going to do what's best for it in terms of your weight. Because to me, the more you are downshifting all your stress and downshifting the fight, the more we're in relaxation response and the more the body finds its natural weight. Body doesn't find its natural weight when we're stressed the heck out.
Right.
And we're constantly fighting ourselves. So the idea is for you when you're eating the food that you're going to eat anyway. You're going to eat it anyway. You know you're doing it. Stay present.
Okay.
That's the practice, I think. People say, oh, well, I can't control myself and I just completely let go and heck, I'm going to just eat whatever I want to eat anyway because I already screwed up. That's going unconscious. That's going back to being a 7-year-old saying, okay, hey, I got free reign here. Mommy and daddy are gone and I got this big cabinet full of stuff and I can do whatever I want. So I'm going to just eat whatever I want. So it's this unconscious, it's this younger part of us that has the adult in us just checking out.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I think it's less about you controlling and more about you being willing to not be perfect and set up a rule that is bound to make you fail.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts around that topic that comes up for you as we're speaking, as I'm talking about this?
I don't think so. Not off the top of my head. I'm sure later today it'll be like, oh, ding, like all these light bulbs come on later on.
Sure. So do you think this strategy is something that you can practice?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. I think that could be really helpful. And when you said to me, yeah, when you say that, I feel a sense of relief. There's certain anxieties and stresses that we just can't help. They happen. And there's certain ones that we can help because we're self-creating it. If I try to set myself up for perfection, I will never crave sweets. I will never crave something fatty. I will never crave junk food. It's a setup for failure. And it creates a lot of stress. So then we're constantly bracing ourselves. Oh my God, I'm hungry. Or, oh my God, I want something sweet. Or, oh my God, there's that urge. And then you're in a fight with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a fight that you usually kind of lose. Or when you do lose that fight, you don't feel good about yourself. So this is starting to turn that tide just a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So other than exercise, what are the things that you do for yourself, for your body, that really work for you, that feel good for you?
Honestly, I really don't do anything else for myself besides exercise.
Mm-hmm. Is there something you want to do for yourself? Something like, wow, I wish I could do more.
No, that's where, like, I always feel like that's where I'm like lacking is like, I feel like other people have that and I don't.
It might be an interesting exploration. And sometimes it just might mean you considering even the littlest things that you do that just give you more joy, more little hits of pleasure, more little hits of, oh, this feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like music?
Yeah.
What else? What are the little things? Little things you could think of that you might do during the day. It doesn't have to give you the same hit that a great dessert will do.
I like to take baths. Like I take baths and like I like to read. So I do both of those. I love to listen to podcasts, but like it's just I need to set aside time to do those things.
Yeah. I'm betting that just one or two things that you start to focus on more during your week, set aside the time, listen to a podcast that I enjoy, just to have a little bit of you time,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not about keeping busy. So, my little yellow light, my caution light came on when you mentioned, the times that you tend to do well with food is when you're really busy. And on one level, what I'm hearing, what that means is, in part, you're so busy that you're not really thinking about food. You're not actually as connected to your appetite. And we're busy. When I'm busy, I'm dealing with the busy stuff that I'm doing. I'm not focused on food. I'm not focused on a meal. I'm not focused on pleasure on my tongue. And then as soon as, well, wait a second, you have a little space, you can think, you can feel, that's where it might be easier for you to start to get into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So what that says to me is that you're learning, like all of us, you're learning how to be with yourself in a nourishing way. In a strange way, it's almost like if you're in a relationship with another human being and that relationship is not good, it's not healthy, there's not good communication, maybe the other person's not treating you well, and that doesn't feel good. And then when I'm with myself, how's my relationship with me? And that's a relationship. The one with me, the one between Jess and Jess, is a relationship that you're always going to be working on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of where you're at is really learning how to be with yourself when it's not busy, such that you could be a good mom to yourself. It's almost like taking a little bit of that mothering energy that you're giving to your kids. I'm going to bet you know how to be a good mom. Doesn't mean you're going to be perfect all the time, but you're a good mom in the ways that you're a good mom. You know how to love your kids in the ways that you know how to love your kids. You know how to track them. You know how to look out for them. You're aware of them.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is sort of remothering yourself a little bit, particularly when you're not busy. And really learning how to get present with yourself and ask, what would be nurturing for me? What would be good for me? What would feel good to me? Yeah, it might be exercise. Okay, what else? And start to play with that, start to experiment with that, start to try new things, see what catches your attention, but to really ask the question, to be asking yourself the question of, how am I going to treat myself when it's just me and me? What comes up for you when I say that?
Like initially, or like in the past, I would have been like, how am I going to treat myself? I would have been like, with eating a cupcake, it would have been like, I'm going to treat myself by eating something sweet and like doing like that, getting that pleasure from that. But I would say now I would treat myself as like going and getting a pedicure when I'm by myself or doing something like that for myself.
I love that for you. Yeah. And it's really a journey. It's you growing. It's you evolving. I honestly, when I hear you speak about your story and your journey, and I really mean this, Jess, you're not doing anything wrong. Like, there's nothing you're doing wrong that you have to fix. Definitely not in my eyes. All I see is you're a human being, you're a woman who's learning how to soothe herself, pleasure herself, nourish herself, care for herself in ways other than food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like trying to break away a little bit from food, because that's the security blanket. It's kind of like, mama's milk. It's kind of like the breast. There's a part when a baby's breastfeeding, like that's it for them. That's their moment. This is the time when they are most relaxed, most at peace, getting what they want. Mommy's holding me and I'm getting this sweet milk and it feels good. And there's a part of us that can keep wanting to do that throughout life. Okay, here's my sweet spot. My sweet spot is when I'm eating and I'm watching TV or eating and doing whatever. And man, that feels good. And that's home base for me. It doesn't mean eating can't be home base. So I'm going to say, yeah, eating is home base. You do it at least 3 times a day, probably. So eating is a great place to go, man, this feels good. I like what I just ate and this feels good in my body. And now I'm not so hungry. Yeah, food can really make us feel good. And you're just learning the part called and there's a whole other world for you that's going to teach you how to feel good about yourself as a person and as a woman. And you're learning that. And that learning is not always easy because food is so compelling. And it's so easy. It's just easy to turn to food. Mm-hmm. Harder to say, okay, I'm going to get out and take a walk. I'm going to get out and, go do a pedicure. I'm going to go call a good friend, or I'm going to do, it's that those don't always sound as immediately easy and fun and sexy and fast. So part of being an adult in this world is learning how to delay certain kinds of gratification. Yeah, I want food right now because it's easy. And the adult in us is learning how to help that kid in us just delay the gratification because, something, there's other things that would be better for me in this moment. So you and hundreds of millions of other people are learning how to do that.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is take it a little bit easier on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. I think a key from this conversation that I would love for you to take away is to let go of the perfection standard that you've created around sugar and what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So what do you feel like you're coming away with from this conversation?
That just exactly that. Like I'm going to try to not shoot for perfection and be okay with if I set up myself to not fail, I guess, basically by saying set up days throughout the week where I know I can have X amount of sweets per day and be okay with it.
Yeah. And enjoy it and really practicing letting go of the guilt in the moment. Mm-hmm. And experiencing yourself as a full human being. There's moments where as humans, we just want to feel a lot of pleasure. And here I am eating a favorite food, a favorite sweet, a favorite junk food, and I'm feeling a lot of pleasure. Okay, I got it. Sometimes we need to get what we want from food to learn how to how to let it in, how to take it in, because then it's easier to let go of it. If I'm never getting what I want, I ain't going to let go. I'm going to keep trying to get what I want.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was a good conversation. I think there's some, it's sometimes I think success in this realm, in a conversation like this, doesn't have to mean some, stunning insight that changes everything. And now you're going to walk away being this 100% completely different person who's all perfect. A lot of times what success looks like is, okay, here's the next couple of puzzle pieces I need on my journey to help me get where I need to go. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to win the lottery and figure out the one thing that's going to change everything in me, part of it is just learning, okay, what are the little tweaks, what are the little shifts I can make that actually will make a big difference moving forward as I practice them.
Yeah.
Be good to yourself. Treat yourself well. Talk nicely to yourself.
I will.
Jess, I really appreciate being in this conversation with you.
Yes, me as well.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. And take care, everybody. Once again, I'm Marc David. We've been in the Psychology of Eating podcast. Always more to come, my friends.
Hey friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of the Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.